This is part 2 of the Lab Zero Start Here video. Um, Now what we're going to do is we're going to add our NC files. So what we're most interested in is over here under Setup. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up Setup. Okay, and it shows the machine, the coordinate system, the G-code offsets, your tooling file, okay, which shows which tools you're going to use, and then NC programs, NC subprograms, and saved and process files. And that's these last two are somewhat beyond what we're going to do. Okay. So let's load our NC programs. So click on NC programs, right mouse click and say add NC program files. Now, as you may recall, we put our files in the download folder. So if I click on that, what you notice is nothing comes up. Well, that's because you have to change this filter. So you want it to show all files. If you don't do that, you won't be able to find it. Okay? And what we're looking for is Lab 1 Phase 4. Now I have two because I've downloaded them twice, but you'll just have one. You want to load this one first, Lab 1 Phase 4. The order in which you load them will also affect how they are run. So we're going to say OK. All right, and then we want to load, click on NC programs, and then say add NC programs. Now since we've set the filter and we've loaded it once, it'll filter everything else out. Okay, and we want Lab 1 Fear the Roo S2016 Vericut depth, and we're going to say OK. All right. Now what's kind of nice about this is that you can activate any of these programs. So like if I have a rather large project and I have several files, I can make them inactive, okay, and then they won't be verified when I go to verify. Okay, but I want to make sure they're both active. And how I'm getting that to pop up is I am right mouse clicking. I want both of them active. And then if you want to see what they look like, you can double click on them and they will show up in the editor and you can edit them. And we also use this later on. And then to close them, you can close them. And if you make changes to them here, you have to save it for that to take. So you can see that the first file uses a tool uses a 3/8 flat end mill, and it happens to be tool 2. Okay. This uses a 1/16 flat end mill, and that happens to be tool 7. Okay. So we can also go look at our tools, and our tools need to be preset. That's why this is set up. But to look at our tools, if you double click on MCO Tooling 1, okay, it shows our tools. So we're using the 1/16 flat end mill, which is here, which is tool 7. And we were using the, I believe the 3/8 flat end mill. Okay. To close this, go up to the top and hit close. Let's double check that. Lab 1 Phase 4. It does say we're using tool 2. Let's go see what we're using. Oh, tool 2 is in this video is a 3/4 flat end mill. Okay. Now, if you want to change that, which we do, you have to click on this plus sign and you have to go to the cutter. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to leave everything else the same. This is the geometry of the cutter. We're going to change this cutter to 0.375. Okay, so then, and then we're going to go back here to where it says 3/4 inch flat end mill, and we're going to change that to 3/8. And when you hit enter, it shows up there. Okay, and then we're going to want to save that file. And then we're going to want to close it. Okay. And then we did confirm that tool 7 is the 16th, and that's one of the reasons we do that. Now in general, you won't be changing this. Okay. But if you needed to, you could see, so you can do that. Okay, so again, I'm going to close it. Now I have to make an adjustment here. So I'm going to make the screen full screen, and I'll have to move my video around a little bit. Okay, because you need to see this. These are the controls. Okay, and if you put your mouse over any of these items, it's going to tell you information. Okay, this is the animation speed. This is where we can slow down the animation. This is where we reset the model, rewind the NC program, pause it, step through it, so we could step through it line by line, or play it from start to finish. All right, well, we have our files here. Both files are active. The first file is active and it's highlighted in blue, and the second file is active. Again, right mouse click on those. Okay, so if I want to perform the simulation, I click on this play, start, stop options, and I may want to slow it down slightly so that it doesn't go too fast, and I can run it. Okay. Now, the objective is to get a clean Vericut log. So I have a couple errors and I have some warnings. Okay. You look at the errors first. This is what you're most concerned about. And it says error work offset table entry not found, subsystem 1, register 54, subregister 1. Okay. And that's really just even though it's an error, it is a very minor error. And it's more of a Vericut issue, and we can get into that later. But at this point, it's not an issue. Now these are warnings, and it's telling us it doesn't like the circle statement. So we may want to go in there and look at that circle statement to see what the issue is. So if you come over here and you click on Analyze Messages, I'm sorry, let's go back to the logger. Okay, well, I guess we do want to go to Analyze Messages, because what we want to do is we want to open NC Program Review. And your NC Program Review lets you go through your code line by line. So we're done with the simulation, so we're at the end of the code. Okay, but I want to analyze this message, so I actually need to go back to the log. And I believe if I click on this, it's going to show me saying it's having an issue with G54. But that's okay. This is what we want our code to read, and we'll learn what G54 is, and it's basically the work offset. So that's not an issue. Okay, and that is in the Lab 1 Phase 4 file. But it doesn't like this arc. So if I click on this arc, it jumps to the statement where that arc is created, and it's not an error. It's just a warning. So I would investigate it, but I would. As your instructor, I'm the one who has to make the decision if that's a major issue or not. So your goal is always to get rid of these, get rid of everything clear. But I'll tell you if you're going to be able to get rid of this or not get rid of this. And for this one, all through 4 of these are okay. Okay. If we want to run the simulation again, okay, what you need to do is you can rewind it If you rewind it, it's just rewinding the program. It's not going to re-show your cut. Okay, so let's try that. So let me rewind. Okay, now that I have the NC Programming View up, it's going to show. Okay, and if I hit single step, watch how I step through the program. Okay, line by line. And that's going to be a big aid in helping you learn using VeriCut. Next, I can, just while I'm here, I can go full speed. Okay, but again, you notice how it's not cutting, right? Because we just rewound the tape. If we want to see it cutting again, we have to click this button, which is reset the model. And we're going to say yes. I'm going to take this back up, and we're going to run it. Okay, and we could zoom in on this a little bit. We want to get this as our screenshot, so we're going to hold down Shift and hit, we're going to hold down Alt and hit Print Screen. Okay, and then we're going to paste that in the Word document. And that's all you need for the VeriCut simulation. Okay, this concludes the Lab 0 Start Here video part 2, which is the conclusion of the VeriCut simulation.